Okay, all right, I think we're good. I think we're good. Chill out. Yo, what's going on, guys? Keanu here, your favorite friendly neighborhood trainer. Today, guys, for Fit Tip Friday, we're gonna be going over the snatch. I did a poll earlier this week in my private Facebook group, and pretty unanimously, people either wanted me to elaborate and or just told me that they had the most trouble and wish they would have had a more elaborate tutorial earlier on in their journey. So I created this for you guys, free of charge. I hope you enjoy this, and yeah, let's dive right in. So the first two things you're gonna wanna be aware of is, number one, you wanna have the proper hand placement inside the kettlebell. Now I go over that a little bit more in depth in the kettlebell clean video, so I'm not gonna spend too much time into this, as the kettlebell clean is a prerequisite for the snatch, so you should go watch that anyway. But essentially the TLDR version of that is that you want the kettlebell to be placed in your hand at about a 45-degree angle, okay? Placed in between the webbing of your index finger and your thumb, all right? Whenever you're in the rack position or in the overhead position. All right, the second thing is you wanna make sure that you have proper shoulder mobility, all right? At the top of that fully pressed position, you wanna make sure that your core is tight, all right? So you're squeezing your stomach and you are actively squeezing your glutes, all right? It should feel like you're in almost a vertical plank position. All right, from here, you should be able to have your shoulder next to your ear, okay? It shouldn't be out like this to the side, all right? Because the heavier that weight gets, the harder it's gonna be to control, and you're not in proper kinetic alignment, so the more susceptible you are to hurting yourself. All right, so you wanna make sure that your arm is straight, wrist stacked over your elbow, stacked over your shoulder. Also at the top, you wanna make sure that that arm is slightly behind your ear. What you don't want is for that arm to be behind your ear because you're doing this with your head, all right? That's gonna cause some trap and neck issues. In a snatch and a clean, the trajectory of the kettlebell is up and down, all right? Whereas a swing, it's horizontal, okay? So it's vertical over horizontal. So in a swing, we're loading those hips and we're driving and creating all that force and we're pushing that bell out, all right? In a clean and a snatch, we are loading those hips, but we're pushing it up, all right? In order for us to be able to generate that force to get that kettlebell up, we do need to shorten the fulcrum, all right, on our body. So as opposed to the lever, rather, being our shoulder, it is our elbow. All right, so we're gonna keep our elbow nice and close to our body, so that way when we generate that force, it goes up, all right, because the lever is now here rather than out here. So instead of going out here, it's gonna go up. Hope that makes sense. In order to accomplish that, what I personally like to teach my students is the TRex Swing, okay? So what a TRex Swing is essentially you're still loading the hips and everything is exactly identical, but instead of allowing yourself to push the weight out where your shoulder is still the primary lever, we are going to keep our elbows in by our hips, all right? And then the trajectory of the kettlebell will now be going up and down, all right? So this is what I mean. All right, we're gonna hike it. Boom. The next step that I personally like to go over is a nice little float and punch. All right, so we're gonna do a TRex swing. We're gonna get it to where it's about perpendicular to our body. Then we are actually going to punch out, bring it back in, and continue into the next swing. Boom, boom, boom. What this is gonna help you do, it's gonna help you get used to the punch. It's gonna help you to understand how loose your grip needs to be in the punch and how tight it needs to be back when you catch it. This is what that looks like. As you can see, as I'm punching it, it's not slamming on my wrist. You just learn eventually how much force you need to put into it in order for it to land gracefully on your wrist, rather than just flopping on top. The next thing we're doing, guys, is essentially the same as the last two steps we did, but just a little bit higher. All right, so rather than just doing a TRex swing with our elbow attached to our ribs, what I want you to think of is like Velcro underneath your armpit. All right, you're gonna do a TRex swing, but with a little bit more force to the point where you detach that Velcro. You got it up around your head, and then you're gonna bring it back down. All right. That was my Velcro noise. All right. So that's what I want you to think about. The reason why I guys like to do a T-Rex high pull rather than a regular high pull is on a regular high pull, you're pulling out to the side. On a snatch, you're not pulling out to the side. You're generating a bunch of force and you're punching through. All right. So practice that T-Rex high pull. All right. And then at its apex, just kind of reattach that Velcro, bring it back down, keep practicing that. Once you got that T-Rex high pull down, what we're gonna do is, guys, we're just gonna put it all together. All right, so remember that punch that you did at the 45-degree angle? Same exact thing, guys, except you're doing it once the bell is about 90% of the way there. All right, one of my favorite cues is beat the bell to the top. All right, so once it gets about 90% of the way there, boom, punch and stick. All right, and remember that you want your bicep right next to your ear. All right, so don't be trying to catch it all out here. All right, so in its totality, it should look like this. That's a high pull, the T-Rex high pull, and then you, all right, that is the snatch in its final form. Drop is essentially exactly what it sounds like. You go from the top and you drop it all the way down. In addition to that cue I already gave you, reconnecting the Velcro, that one personally worked well for me. I don't know how many of you guys have siblings, but I do. And when they were younger, I'd be like, oh, who's my favorite sister in the world? And you'd be like, oh, me. And then you like kind of, and they like hide their arm. That's how quickly you kind of want to pull it down. I want to put the little anecdote that it needs to be slightly in front of you. All right, so when you do the drop, you do need to, don't pull it directly down like you're doing a shoulder press. All right, you want to bring it in the same arc in front of you as you did when you were doing the T-Rex high pull. You see how it all mirrors each other? So you need to bring it in front. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna allow it to catch on the inside of your hands a little bit, so that way you can almost kind of pull it down. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope that helped you out. I hope you took one or two of the cues that I personally coach with and it resonated with you so you could finally master your snatches. Listen, guys, there is an element of a learning curve. You're not gonna get it right the first time. Guys, my biggest personal tip is to video yourself, all right? My biggest tool when I'm coaching people is I take the videos they send me and I literally slide them forward and backwards to show them how they should be doing it versus sometimes how they're actually doing it, because they'll be lifting it up perfectly and putting it down incorrectly. And I'm like, no, it should be like this. And I'll slide it back and forth as opposed to whatever it is that they're doing. And then it clicks for them because of that visual cue. So hopefully that helps you out as well. I know it helped me videoing myself and posting content. So guys, I love each and every one of you. Don't let anybody tell you different. I hope you have a phenomenal weekend. Peace.